Crafty Besties, it's Amanda here, the card making coach. I'm coming to you today on a really snowy, cold day here in Newfoundland, Canada. Type down below where you're from, where you're watching from, and what are your favorite kinds of cards to make. So in my last video, I made a gatefold card. I'm trying to do a few fun fold cards so that it gets a little bit more interesting. And today we're going to do a double gatefold card. Here's the card. And it's a birthday card, a nice winter birthday card, because sometimes birthdays in the wintertime tend to get forgotten about, but we're going to replicate what we have here today. I may change the paper, the way the paper is sitting on the card, maybe the white back here and then this dark one up here, but we'll see how we feel. Okay, I don't like a whole lot of chitter chatter in the beginning, so let's go ahead and get this card made. All right, so just like in my introduction, today we're going to make a double gatefold card. Here is the card. It's the thinking of you brings joy to my heart, and then happiest birthday wishes. With this card, I use a Stampin' Up! Branching Out stamp set. I don't have the matching die set, but I just do have the stamp set, but feel free to use whatever you have. Also, you may notice that I used a die to cut this rectangle out, both of these. Today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a regular rectangle and cut it out myself, in case there's anybody out there who would like to do this and they do not have a die machine. Some people don't have a die cut machine. But you're definitely going to need a scoreboard and a paper trimmer for this project. Okay, so let's get started. So I have my cardstock here. This is not a 12 by 12, but this did come from a 12 by 12. So I'm just going to make one today. But if you do start with a 12 by 12, you'll be able to get two out of this. So let's see here now. Okay, so our card base is 5.5 inches. And when you're using your paper trimmer, if you're new to using paper trimmers, try not to put too much pressure on the blade. Otherwise, you're going to get a jagged cut or you're going to get an uneven cut. The best way to do it is just run your hand along the blade with a very gentle pressure. And then our length across is going to be 11 inches. And I'm going to put my paper trimmer to the side for a minute, and I'm going to get out my scoreboard. So get out your scoreboard, and then we're going to put, oh, it's getting away from me, our paper on the long side. And I have my measurements of the card right beside me, so I have quick reference of what I have to do here. By the way, this is not my original card. There are many double gatefold cards out there. I found this one on Pinterest. You can go to Pinterest and put in double gatefold card, and you'll find all kinds of tutorials. But I figured this is just a super easy one that we can do together. So our first score is at 1 1/4. So 1, and then your quarter mark is here. And just lightly go down. And then we have 3 3/8. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And then our next one is 7 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're unfamiliar with measurements, especially on these scoreboards, the 5/8 mark is directly after the 1/2 mark. So that's 7 5/8, and then 9 3/4. And here's our 9 3/4. See if you can see that right there. Okay. And here's our lines. And we don't need our scoreboard anymore. You can keep, if you have a bone folder, keep that out. I have a different bone folder over here I'm going to use. And then we're going to fold and burnish these edges. So just make sure that your card lines up as nicely as you can and give that a crease. Same thing with this side. Give it a nice little crease. And then these front pieces here are going to get folded back. Okay. There we go. And that was very easy to do. There we go. So now we have our gatefold card base. Let's put that to the side. And let me bring back my actual card, turning it the right way. And we're going to cut our front panels, the 2 panels that go back here, and the 2 panels that are here. And I think I'm going to switch it up today, and I'm going to put this darker one in the front and the lighter one to the back, just for a little bit of a change, something to do. I like to mix it up a little. I don't like to make the same card. I very, very rarely make the same card. I don't know, it's just, it bores me to make the same card over and over, so I try to mix it up a bit. So this is my darker paper. This is a Christmas paper I got. I think maybe this came with Stampin' Up. Yes, because it came when I received this stamp set. So this is Stampin' Up paper. It's they call it designer series paper. It's double-sided, so you could choose to use one side or another if you have a double-sided paper. Just find something that, you know, 2 different papers that complement each other, and that'll be perfect. So now we're going to cut this, and I need a measurement of 1 1/8. So that's our very first line after the inch, and 5 3/8. So this one's a little bit different, a little bit more tricky. So it's 1, 2, 3. This is our 5/8 mark here. It's different than the scoreboard. Oop. Hopefully I got that okay. Yep. And again, because we need 2 for the front, I'm going to just try to butt it up against this part of your trimmer best you can. Oh, let me try that again. Here we go. And as you can see, I'm using extremely gentle pressure on the blade. Before, I used to push down too hard, and it would cause the cut not to be very even. So I've learned after trial and error not to do that. Okay, and we need another 5 3/8. Okay, so now we have our 2 front panels. And now we're going to do 4 panels of this beautiful, I really love this cardstock, and it really goes well with this one again. This is a designer series paper that came from Stampin' Up when I got that branching out stamp set. And like I said, just use whatever you have. If you want to make a spring card, summer card, you can make this into anything you want. Today I'm doing birthday, but you can use whatever you have. It doesn't matter. So now our next cut is going to be 2 inches by 5 3/8. So I need 2 inches by 5 3/8. And I might be able to get 2 out of this. Yes. Okay, that's perfect. And then I'm going to do that inside as well. And then 5 3/8 on this one. And 5 3/8. And obviously I'm not going to keep these. I do keep a lot of scrap paper. I actually just went through all my scrap paper and organized everything, cut everything down so that it'd be easier to access when I need it. Before I was just kind of throwing my, scrap pieces of paper wherever they would land, and that's not really a great idea, so I can be a little bit disorganized sometimes, but I'm trying my best. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this inside panel here. And that's going to be a measurement of 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Okay, so I can put my paper trimmer to the side here. Not going to need that again. And let's do some adhering now. Now what I did last night when I prepped this card was I just kind of laid it out flat and glued on my panels and then turned it and then did the same thing. So I think that's how I'm going to do it today. So I have my 2 front panels here that'll go like this. And I'm using Glue Runner. If you haven't seen my previous videos, this is an AdTech Glue Runner permanent. I get this at Walmart, 4 in a pack, I think for $15. And this is what I go to for the most part. I also use liquid glue and sometimes double-sided adhesive. But this one is go-to because it doesn't spread everywhere and get messy. It's the perfect thing for somebody who is not really on the coordinated side when it comes to this stuff. I do use glue, and I've learned after many years of using it how to squeeze it out appropriately, but it takes a little bit of learning, and that's okay. That's what this is all about. Okay, so I have my first little panel on here. I just love to see a card come together. It makes me so excited. It makes my little heart happy to see something coming from nothing. It's great to be creative. Okay. And do your best to line it up, making sure that it's fairly even around all 4 edges. And if it comes out a little bit wonky, that's fine. That's okay. That's what a homemade card should be. It tells you it's not perfection, but it was made with lots and lots of love for the person who's receiving it. Okay, so now I'm going to do this little intersection here. Love this paper. So nice. Feels kind of rich. You know how you get those papers and they feel kind of like, I don't know, cheaply made, I guess. And I have some of those too, and those are just as great. But just the pattern on this, I really love it. Now, I'm not going to put my panel on quite yet because I want to do my stamping and then I'm going to adhere in case I make a mistake. So that's what I would do if, especially if you're just starting out, you're just beginning, and try not to make the mistake of putting your panel on and then stamping, because if you do make a mistake, then you can't take it off. You might be able to put something over it, but when you have a panel, where's my panel? Here's my panel. Say I'm stamping on this panel here and I make a mistake. Flip it over, continue on, and keep going and just glue the mistake onto the back. Nobody will ever notice, as long as your cardstock is thick enough that it won't be seen through. And so I'm flipping it over, and we're going to put our 2 panels here like that. Make sure if you're doing this and you're using a directional paper that when you're putting these on, that they're going in the correct direction. Now, I suppose this does have a little bit of a direction to it. So if I was going to put this on, I would probably go this way. So let's do that. And I'm just going to, if you have a grid mat, that's great. You can line it up. And we can just put this like that. And also, if you're a beginner, my videos are mainly for beginners. I'm trying to help anybody who might be struggling in the beginning. I know I struggled quite a bit. And this is a very narrow border on this cardstock. If you want to use a 1/4 of an inch border, you can do that, and it'll give you a little bit more wiggle room to move things around and not have to worry about going over your score lines or anything like that. So that's just a little tip from me. Okay, so we're just going to, there we go. Let's flip it over and see how it looks. There. So pretty, right? And here's our other one. So as you can see, same card, different placement of paper. It makes it kind of look different, right? So I really like that. Okay, so let's do this inside panel. And I'm going to actually use my stamping platform, I think. For Christmas, my brother gave me a gift card to Michael's. Michael's is not accessible where I am. I'd have to drive 4 hours just to get there. And that's quite a long commute just to get some craft supplies. So when he gave me a gift card, I jumped right online and I grabbed a couple of things. This is a recollection stamping platform. When I received it in the mail, I was a little bit disappointed at the fact that it wasn't hinged, but it still does work very well. So here is the grid. The top, it has like a little, two little pieces here, and that pushes in when you're pushing the stamp down. And then you can line your stamp up here. It comes with magnets. And then you can put your cardstock right there. Put your magnet on here, and we'll hold your cardstock in place. Now, let me see. So for this card, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let's see. I'm still going to use Happiest Birthday Wishes. But I don't know if I'm going to do the branch. I think I may just do some little dots. And you can see here on my card, I use this to make all these little dots all around. So I won't need my stamping platform for that. I'm just going to use my acrylic block for that part. And I'm going to use, pardon my arm, some Distress Oxide ink, and this one is a vintage photo. I'm going to get some scrap paper. I have scrap paper right next to me. And I'm going to do an inking off technique. So that is where I'm just going to put this under here so I have coverage of my platform. It doesn't get all full of ink. And I have my stamp on my acrylic block, nicely done here. Sometimes when these are new, they're super sticky. I like to run my thumb over it, get some of that little stickiness off. And I'm going to stamp with the Distress Oxide ink, and then hopefully I'm in frame here, stamp off, and then come in and stamp. And that makes it a little bit lighter. It's not as bold. And let me put some down here. I might have to move my paper over a little, and that's fine. I'm just going to adjust how you need to. Adjust a little bit here. And stamp. And I kind of like that. Just a little something to give it a little bit of an element for now. And then I'm going to take this scrap paper out. We don't need that anymore. And now I'm going to use my Happiest Birthday Wishes. And I'm going to use Tuxedo ink. Tuxedo Black, sorry, Memento ink for that. And let's see where we want to do our placement. I'm going to move these over a little bit. Now, if you want to, you can put it wherever you like. You can put it here, here, up closer to the top. If you want to write, or you know the person that you're giving this card to wants to write a little, like a really long message, put it closer to the top. If they just want to sign their name, put it more toward the middle. Just whatever you feel like. There's no right or wrong to this. And that's what I love about this, is that there's no right or wrong. Okay, so I'm going to, if you can see, there's holes in my stamping platform. and they go on these little pieces here, and these also retract. So let's see here. And this picks up my stamp. And I can check and see if it's even. I think maybe it looks a little tiny bit off, and that's okay. We can just pick it up, fix it how we want. And now I'm going to. The lovely thing about these stamping platforms is if you don't get a clear image right away, the first try, you can try again, because I don't think I'm going to get a clear image right away. So we'll see. Push down. Not bad, but I would like it a little bit deeper and darker. So I'm going to do it again. You can do this as many times as you need to. That's what's wonderful about these. And I got a little bit of ink on my platform here. I'm going to I have these microfiber cloths I picked up at my local dollar store. And as you can see, this is very well used. I have a bunch in my drawer. I just didn't bother to change it out. But you can just grab some and it just wipes the ink right off. Okay, trying again here. Ah, that's better. I like that. Okay. So that's our inside panel for our card, and the person can write all their message here, or if they just want to write their name, even better. So at the beginning of the video, during the introduction, I said I wasn't going to use a die cut, and I'm not. Because I want everybody who watches this video, who may be a beginner and doesn't have all the materials and the machines and everything. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've sort of accumulated things over time. I didn't buy everything all at once. You'll find yourself wanting to run out and buy everything. I know I'm the same way. But you have to sort of build up what you have in your stash. You'll hear that word a lot, stash. Over a certain amount of time, unless you're lucky enough for somebody to give you some things, and that happens. Okay, so we've got 2 1/4, and I'm measuring this back panel here by 3 1/2. So I'm going to write that down on my little paper here. 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then that one is 3 1/8. But since I have my outside panel here, this blue panel, I can just take 1/4 inch off and make my little white panel. This was a white cardstock, but I inked it up with some distress ink. And we may do that as well. It might make it lighter, darker, whatever. I'm not sure yet. Whatever tickles my fancy today. So I'm going to take 1/4 inch off. So that'll be 2 by 3 1/4. Okay. So I will need my platform again. I'm just going to put this to the side so I can... I said we weren't going to need the trimmer, but we will need the trimmer brought back again just for a minute. And I have some extra cardstock here, some of the blue, the dark blue. And our back panel is going to be 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to cut this side at 2 1/4 and then this at 3 1/2. No, sorry, 3 1/2 here, I think. Let's do this. 3 1/2. Now I got all this nice cardstock for something else. And 2 1/4. And a piece like this, I absolutely will save that. I can put another piece of white cardstock there, stamp a sentiment on it, and put it on the front of a card or even on the inside of a card. So try not to throw away these ones that are at least this big. I have pieces that are way smaller than that, but I have a hard time throwing things away, so that's something that I'm working on. Okay, and now our front panel will be 2 inches by 3 1/4. Uh-oh, that one is too short. Let me grab a different one. I should have I should have cut the other way, but that's all right. Mistakes have been made. No worry, crisis averted. Okay, and then we need 2 by 3 1/4. And sometimes I can come in here and make 2 or 3 cards and not have any issues. Sometimes I can come in here and sit down and try to work on one card and have so much difficulty with it that I literally have to just walk away or the whole thing will go in the garbage. So, like I said in my other videos, just be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. You're learning. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time and I still have a lot to go, a lot to learn. And there's always room for improvement. But we can do it together, and it's so much fun to do things together instead of on your own, right? Okay, so now I think I may use that branch. I'm going to use the small one. Oh, I need to bring in my scrap paper again because I'm not going to directly stamp that entire piece onto this card. It's a little bit small for that. I might have to move my magnets out of the way. Might not even be enough room for those. So what I did was on this one, I sort of went off. So I think I'm going to do that same type of thing again. And I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do just one little branch here. Maybe I'm going to go like this. And I can put my little small sentiment here. I have a ton of sentiments. Just use what you have. If you don't have stamps, just use some stickers, whatever works for you. It's fine. It's okay. And I have a few different colors of Distress Oxide inks. This one's Vintage Photo. I have Black Soot, Walnut Stain, and Antique Linen. This is the lightest one. So for the branch, I think I'm going to use Walnut Stain. That's a bit darker than the Vintage Photo. Let's see if I can show you the difference. You can see the difference of how dark that is. That goes there. If I don't put the lids on, immediately I will get them mixed up. Thankfully, they have the names of the ink on the very back. Okay, I had to move this magnet because it's going to be in my way. So, push down. There we go. And I can leave it like that if I like, or I can do it one more time just to give it a little bit of extra oomph. Distress inks don't stamp the way like pigments, dye inks and stuff stamp. They stamp a little bit more, I guess, translucent. So a lot of these are meant for ink blending and whatnot. But I do use them sometimes for stamping when I don't have the correct ink. I don't have a whole lot of inks. I'm not really sure why. I have so much of everything else, and my inks are just, I don't have a whole lot. So I guess that's something I'm going to have to work on. Hubby, if you're watching this video, don't listen to what I'm saying right now. So, let's see. What could I stamp? I have the happiest birthday wishes on the inside. And I'm going to go with from our family to yours. Why not? Oh, I can't do that because it's only one person. Oh, that's so silly. Let me see. What else do I have? Ah, Sent with Lots of Love. Okay, that's going to be perfect. See, sometimes I don't think about what I'm putting when I do this. You kind of have to match what you have written on the inside, right? So this stamp set is brand new for me and it's a bit sticky. So that's why the ink is sticking to the, or the cardstock is sticking to the stamp. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. for my sentiment. Okay, and as you can see, I didn't get quite a clear image that I wanted, so I'm going to go again. Try again, and like I always say, straight up and straight down. It might look like I'm doing something different, but I'm just going straight up and straight down quickly. Don't smear, don't push or anything, just a little up and down motion. Otherwise, you're going to get a smeared and not very clear image. And push down. All right, that's a little bit better. Okay, so now I want to add some, I think I'm going to add some little pine cones to this. Some pine cones here. And I need my acrylic block again. Here we go. And this time I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use Vintage Photo for this because it's a bit lighter, so we'll get a little bit of a contrast going. And sometimes I get a little bit too overzealous here. So as you can see, these branches have little parts that stick out, and that's where we want to put our little pine cones. There we go. Cute, right? Okay. And now, if I put one here, I'm going to interrupt this love sentiment. So I think I'm going to stamp off first and get a little bit of a lighter, more translucent. I'm going to move my magnets because they're in my way. I'm hoping that I'm in frame where you can see. And let's see. Yes, okay. See? Now that looks like the pine cone is behind, even though I stamped the sentiment first. So if you want to lighten your ink, stamp off and then stamp. It'll give you a nice lighter image. Or if you want to have a bolder image, well, just keep it full strength. Okay. That one. This one. And that's just coming right off the page here. Oops, and I didn't get quite the clear image I wanted. I'm going to go back again, and well, if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. There's not much I can do. Ah, that worked out not too bad. Now, I think I'm going to leave these little ones out maybe. But what I think I might do is put some of those little dots on there like I had before. Just a couple. I think I'm going to do these smaller ones this time. I think that's what I did last night, actually. I didn't use the big ones. I used these little tiny baby ones. Let me bring this in. See the difference in the size of the circle? Yes, so I didn't use this one for that front panel here. I used this one. And that gives you almost like a little snowy scene, which is nice. And if I want, I can stamp off and get a really light. Okay. So nice. And if you like, you can do what I did there and ink it up a little. Let me see what I want to use. I think I may use antique linen. This is the lightest one here. Look how light that is. So I want this to be nice and light. And if you don't want to go all the way into the inside of the card, just go around the edge. This is a blending brush. I bought these on Temu in a pack of 20, I think. They're very inexpensive, and they're great for blending and not making lines. You just have to remember when you're loading up your ink, circular motion like this. Have a piece of scrap paper under your cardstock. Start off your cardstock like this and then come in. If you start on your cardstock, you may get some lines there that you don't really want. I really like this antique linen. It's very nice and light. Really pretty. I think I'm going to leave that middle part white just for a little bit of brightness. And I think that looks really nice. Pretty. Definitely pretty. Okay. So I'm going to put that away. Put my distress inks away. Not going to need those again. And put my stamp platform away. Now you're asking yourself, why am I doing all this on camera? I'll share a little something about myself with you. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. I'm, in midlife. I'm not going to say my age, midlife. So it was kind of no surprise after I found out that I'm a very disorganized person. I didn't have too much thought about what I was doing or putting things away and stuff. So I'm really trying my best to put things away as soon as I'm done with them. You have to sing a little song to yourself if you're a fellow ADHDer. Don't put it down, put it away. So don't put it down, put it away. If that makes any sense to you? I'm sure there's somebody out there who understands what I'm talking about. So now I'm going to add my image, my beautiful little image on top of my cardstock, and see, with 1/4 of an inch allowance on this back cardstock, it was a whole lot easier for me to be able to line that up. So if you want to start out that way with your card making, that'd be a great idea, actually. Okay, let's bring our card back in and we're going to finish this up. So here's our inside panel. Putting that on here. Okay. Doing our best to get it in the middle. Pretty, okay. And for this one, I used some double-sided tape. You have to be careful when you're using double-sided adhesive or any kind of adhesive when you're only gluing one side. So just be careful when you're putting your tape or whatever you're doing on that it doesn't go past this middle line. Otherwise, you're going to have it all glued together and nobody will be able to get it open. So I think maybe I used two strips of double-sided tape. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that this is a tear and tape from Stampin' Up. I don't always use Stampin' Up products. I have a bunch, and then I have other products as well. I think I might be able to get 3. Just have to be careful. And I'm just taking my bone folder burnishing to make sure that glue is down. And I'm using my little pokey tool. You can use anything that has a sharp edge to pick up the tape. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of patience. There we go. 1, 2. And 3. Okay. Laying our card down flat, and we want to put it somewhere here in the middle. And just try to make it as straight and as even as you can. There we go. There we go. You've made your first double gatefold card. Congratulations. So that's it for me today. I'm not going to go with a long outro. On my next video, I may do some sort of a step card in a series of fun fold cards. I just want to keep going with it and step it up a little bit and see where it takes us. So this is Amanda, the card making coach. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.